Welcome to the story of Uber, covering the journey of Uber from idea to empire. In this video, we'll be looking at the illegal rise of Uber following the controversies. As you watch this video, you'll be shocked. Brace yourselves, fellas. Uber Technologies Incorporated's explosive growth and seemingly endless controversies have made it one of the most fascinating companies to emerge over the past decade and a half. Though the road has been bumpy, Uber remains the major company in the ride-sharing space. In its most recent annual earnings release for 2022, Uber reported a total of 7.6 billion trips, $31.9 billion in revenue, and a net loss of $9.1 billion. How it all began. As the company tells it, Uber's story began in Paris in 2008. Two friends, Travis Kalanick and Garrett Camp, were attending Le Web, an annual tech conference that The Economist describes as where revolutionaries gather to plot the future. In 2007, both men had sold startups they co-founded for large sums. Kalanick sold Red Swoosh to Akamai Technologies for $19 million, while Camp sold StumbleUpon to eBay for $75 million. Uber's concept was born one winter night during the conference when the pair was unable to get a cab. That led to an epiphany. What if you could request a ride from your phone? Initially, the idea was for a timeshare limo service that could be ordered via an app. After the conference, the men went their separate ways. However, when Camp returned to San Francisco, he continued to be fixated on the idea and bought the domain name ubercab.com. The early beginning, in 2009, Camp was still CEO of StumbleUpon, but he began working on a prototype for UberCab as a side project. By summer of that year, Camp had persuaded Kalanick to join as UberCab's chief incubator. The service was tested in New York in early 2010, using only 3 cars, and the official launch took place in San Francisco that May. The company soon shortened its name to Uber. Ryan Graves, who was Uber's general manager and an important figure in the early stages of the company, became CEO of Uber in early 2010. In December 2010, Kalanick took over as CEO, while Graves took on the title of General Manager and Senior Vice President of Global Operations. In 2010, the company received its first major funding, a $1.3 million round led by First Round Capital. In early 2011, it raised another $11 million in a Series A funding round led by Benchmark. It then went to expand to New York, Seattle, Boston, Chicago, and Washington, D.C., as well as abroad in Paris, where the idea for it first took root. In December, at the 2011 Le Web conference, Kalanick announced that Uber had raised $37 million in Series B financing from Menlo Ventures, Jeff Bezos, and Goldman Sachs. In 2012, the company broadened its offering by launching UberX, which provided a less expensive hybrid car as an alternative to black car service. Beginning of controversies. The year 2017 was really rough for Uber. The troubles began in February when a female former Uber engineer outed the company for its sexist culture in a 3,000-word blog post. It alleged that Uber's corporate culture was highly hostile, sexist, and quite offensive to most people. The post quickly went viral, and a number of high-level employees were let go, and most of them resigned for reasons relating to the allegations in the following months. Following the blog post, the board called for an internal inquiry, which became known as the Holder investigation. The investigation resulted in 47 recommendations intended to improve the culture and work environment, and according to Uber, the firing of more than 20 staff members. In the following months, scandals seemed to haunt both the company and its CEO.
What you're about to see starts as an argument between the Uber CEO and an Uber driver over fares, but then it escalates into personal insults.
They blame everything in their life on somebody else. For phone card. Good luck.
Letters were released to the press, which confirmed that sexist attitudes came from the top down, including from Kalanick himself. Kalanick was also caught on video arguing with an Uber driver about lowering fares, which did not strengthen his image in the public eye. On June 21, 2017, Kalanick resigned after a shareholder revolt. After a little more than 2 months, it was announced that Dara Khosrowshahi, then CEO of Expedia or EXPE, would take over. Illegal rise to fame. Thousands of leaked confidential Uber files revealed that the company broke laws, went to extreme lengths to avoid justice, secretly lobbied governments, received aid from top politicians, and exploited violence against drivers to drum up business. The leak covers Uber's operations across 40 countries when Uber was still run by co-founder Travis Kalanick, who took an aggressive approach to bringing the ride-hailing service into cities around the world, even when doing so would break local laws and tax regulations. Mark Mackin, a lobbyist who led Uber's push to win over governments in Europe, the Middle East, and Africa, came forward as the source who leaked the documents, according to The Guardian. He decided to speak out because he believes Uber knowingly broke laws in dozens of countries and misled people about the driver benefits of the gig worker model. The Uber files had conversations which revealed Uber's $90 million a year lobbying and public relations campaigns to gain the support of world leaders such as French President Emmanuel Macron in order to disrupt Europe's taxi industry. In the past years, Uber has continued to spend millions on lobbying and marketing campaigns so it can go on treating its drivers as independent contractors rather than employees. Macron, who in 2014 had just been appointed Minister for the Economy, thought Uber would help create new jobs and economic growth. After meeting with the company's lobbyists that October, Macron became a champion for Uber's interests within government, one who would work to rewrite laws in Uber's favor, the files show. Aside from Macron, the files also reveal how Neelie Kroes, an ex-EU digital commissioner and one of Brussels' top officials, was talking to Uber about joining the company before her term ended. Kroes also apparently secretly lobbied for the firm, which potentially breaches EU ethics rules. Another secret revealed from the files is that a strategy was repeated in Belgium, Italy, Spain, Switzerland, and the Netherlands. For example, when masked men, reportedly angry taxi drivers, attacked Uber drivers with knuckle dusters and a hammer in Amsterdam in March 2015, Uber used the violence to try to win concessions from the Dutch government. Despite Uber's mask of innocence and attempts to define angry taxi drivers and regulated taxi markets as cartels, the company appears to have been operating illegally in many cities. They have been having other forms of operating services against regulations in countries, including the Czech Republic, France, Germany, Spain, South Africa, Sweden, Turkey, and Russia. One senior executive wrote in an email, "We are not legal in many countries. We should avoid making antagonistic statements." The kill switch. Regulatory agencies, police, and transport officials around the world worked to clamp down on Uber. Some officials would download the app and hail rides so they could pull sting operations on unlicensed taxi journeys and fine Uber or impound drivers as cars. Offices in dozens of countries were raided by authorities. That's where the kill switch comes in. If law enforcement came to access the company's computers, Uber would activate a kill switch that would restrict officers' access to sensitive company data like lists of drivers, which Uber thought would harm its growth. The files revealed that Kalanick asked staffers to hit the kill switch ASAP in Amsterdam at least once, according to an email from his account. They also revealed that this technique, which Uber's lawyers and regulatory departments vetted and signed off on, was used at least 12 times during raids in Belgium, France, India, Hungary, the Netherlands, and Romania. Kalanick's spokesperson said in a statement that Kalanick has never been charged in any jurisdiction for obstruction of justice or any related offense. Meanwhile, Kalanick was charged in the past on allegations that he paid hackers $100,000 to cover up a heist that stole personal information from about 57 million Uber users and drivers in 2016. Text messages and emails between executives detail multiple other instances in which Uber used the kill switch. It doesn't end there. Uber executives also sought to deflect inquiries about the company's aggressive tax avoidance strategies by volunteering to help host countries collect income taxes owed by drivers. In every market, claims that Uber was transforming the workforce were central to the company's pitch. But some drivers say that they were misled, that Uber lured them to its platform with financial incentives that didn't last while sharply increasing its commission from each ride. That meant drivers had to work longer hours to maintain their wages. After racking up more than $20 billion in losses over more than 10 years, Uber finally began drawing closer to profitability in 2022. In May, Uber's shareholders voted against a proposal that would have required the company to fully disclose its lobbying activities and spending. In response to ICIJ questions, Uber didn't disclose how much it spent in the last year on international lobbying and who got the money. With that being said, thank you for watching our video. We hope to see you in the next one.